Yes.
You were the first nurse, Elizabeth.
Yeah.
What was that like, being the first nurse, and what year did you start there?
Well, I left the West in 1959, Thanksgiving weekend, and went to Newfoundland. 1959, I always said you didn't kind of think about flying yet, because the planes weren't all that good, and you had to fly from probably Regina to Winnipeg, and then you had to fly to North Bay, and then you had to fly to Toronto, and you had to make all these stops because there was a different time. And so anyway, I said, well, I'll take the train. So this is what I did. I took the train, and I left on a weekend, and my parents were going to come in, say goodbye. They lived about 90 miles away. I was in Regina, and blizzard happened, so they didn't get in to say goodbye. We had a nurses magazine come once a month, and at the back of it, nurses for Notre Dame Bay Memorial Hospital, Twillingate. And I said, well, I suppose I can go for a year. So that was 1959, so here I am today.
So you made the decision based on a name?
On a name. Well, I mean, when I looked in the book and saw Twillingate, you know, and I said, well, you know, what's a 1 year in your life when you're in your 20s? You know,
it was a fairly busy hospital then, right?
Oh, yes. It was busy. This is why I left. It was busy in the summer and the fall and the spring. But everybody went by boat, and certainly when it froze up in the winter, you couldn't get back and forth. And now, if they had to take someone out, you could get a helicopter, but you didn't kind of think much about all of that at that time. Medicine in the early 60s was different than medicine today.
Can you tell?
The head nurse came in one day and she said, We got too many nurses for the winter. We're not going to need all of you. I need 2 girls, she said. I need one to go to Change Islands and one to go to Herring Neck. So Elizabeth said she'd go to Change Islands, and that was it. So I went down the first part of January, and a boat took me down. I went down. Well, I met him just before I left the first winter. I always said his mother was a great card player. She loved cards.
Right.
And his brother, Lauren, and his wife lived with Fred's mom and dad. He was gone for the winter, and certainly I made a 4th. So I got to know them before I really knew Fred, because I used to play cards with them. But I did meet him just before I left that spring. And anyway, I went back for the second winter, and that would be in 61. And we started going together and decided to get married, and we got married in the spring on the 24th of March, 1961.
If you were to describe Fred from a deck of cards and you were to pick up one of the cards...
Oh my gosh! Well, I better say I'd be the king, wouldn't I?
Weird.
You heard that, did you?
Now, would that be the king of hearts or the king of diamonds?
He was a very popular man. All the girls always chased Fred, so I guess I was one of them that did too.
So what attracted you to Fred?
I don't know, we just, there was no going out or anything. And the second winter I went there, he had a television on his boat. His boat was tied, the boats didn't run, so he had a television. So I used to go up and watch hockey games with him. I don't watch hockey games anymore.
That's when I started, when I was Mr. Earl. He was a businessman. He had a boat.
So,
Because of the fishing, he wanted to, he couldn't take away his man that called the fish for him, and he wanted to go to Fogo to see the Governor General. And he asked me if I could, did I think I could do it? And I said, I don't see why not. And I went home supper that night, and I said to Dad, I said, I got something new tomorrow to do. What's that? I said, I got to take Mr. Earl and so many people, in his, he had like a passenger boat, got to take them to Fogo to see the Governor General. I hope you won't disappoint me, he said. I said, no, I don't think so. So that was it. I went by that trip, and then he wanted me to do everything else. And we went to 28th and Fogo and Cobb's Arm, and I was the skipper. My life was different altogether, because I was doing the things that she was doing. Getting up in the morning, 2 o'clock, take somebody to the hospital, you know,
Yeah.
to the Fogo, that kind of stuff.
He had to take people here and there, you know, and he's just lucky he never had any deliveries on the boat.
But so close, but never had one.
No.
And, you know, people always get them in cars and stuff, you know. I was sure we were going to get caught someday, but no. And we did some laughing at it, I tell you.
Yeah.
Me and the fellow that worked with me, you know. There's one time we had to leave and take a pregnant woman to 28. And we were not in Change Islands. We were on the mainland in Port Albert. And I was waiting for we had the woman aboard, you know, and I was waiting for whoever was going with her. And I said to her husband, I said, who's going with your wife? Nobody, sir, he said. I said, you going to send your wife with 2 young fellas? We were both young then, you know. He said, I can't get nowhere to go. My God. So, well, I said, we're ready to go, are we? And he says, yes. So we takes off to go to 28. It was about, what, 2-hour run, I suppose, roughly. And his first thing was, what are we going to do if she has a baby? Don't know. Jack says, well, we got to decide something. I said, yeah. Well, I said, we got to boil some water, and we got to get a bit of sterile rag, and we got to get a pair of scissors to cut the cord. And my God, he said, you know a bit about it. Yes, that was a very small bit. That was like that. But we didn't. We got there. Yeah. So like, and there was somebody to meet her when we got to 28. Somebody, I don't know what the connection was there, but there was either a taxi or a doctor came to the wharf and met her. I was so glad by. When she got out of the boat, there was no happier person in the world than I was there.
what were some of the struggles that you had when you were married as a young couple?
Boy.
Well, so, not too much, I wouldn't say.
No,
she just wanted her own home.
I think maybe we got along so well because he was gone so much, I don't know, but you know, I was, we've had a wonderful marriage as far as I'm concerned because, well, I worked and I had outside interests, and he was working and he had outside interests, and you know, we were in the community, we had good friends all around us and still do actually what's left. And now we have, I always said we've lived so long because we had 22 years in Florida for winter. This is our first winter not being in Florida.
So what are some things that you continue to do together every day as a couple?
Dishes. I said, I'll cook the meals, you do the dishes.
We help it.
Yeah, and I always said, we had 2 televisions, and thanks God, because he's a hockey man and I'm not, so